The Secretary will read the order.
Debate on Vote 25 Justice and Constitutional Development Appropriation Bill.
I will now recognize the Honorable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Acknowledging the Deputy Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Honorable Nell, the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee and members of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Xola, Public Protector of South Africa, Advocate Qalega, National Director of Public Prosecution, Advocate Patoi, Head of SIU, Advocate Mutibi, Director General of Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, Advocate Mashaban, together with the CFO, the Chairperson of the Sheriff's Board, Advocate Morgan. Honorable members, as I stand here, let me first take this opportunity to convey my sincere condolences to the Mabuza family, the ANC, the people of Mpumalanga, and the country at large after the passing of our former Deputy President, who was affectionately known as Buti. We pay tribute to him and appreciate his role in liberating our country and for his developmental approach in governance. He was like a still water in the midst of chaos and a reasonable voice in the midst of confusion. Lala ngokuthula msheng. This year, we also mark 30th anniversary of the inauguration of the Constitutional Court, which is both a living monument of the victory of the vision of the Freedom Charter, which is also 70 years. The court is a monument of the triumph of the liberation struggle over the barbarism of apartheid and a symbol of our continued effort to create a South Africa in which, among others, all are equal before the law, and as proclaimed by the Freedom Charter, clause that said all shall be equal before the law. Honorable members, I stand to table Budget Vote 25 and its priorities. The department will continue to direct all its efforts towards improving not only performance, but also its impact through service delivery. The most pressing challenge is limited funding, with the department facing a severe annual budget shortfall of approximately 1 billion over the MTF period. For the financial year 25-26, the department's budget allocation amounts to just over 25.3 billion, of which 13 billion is allocated to compensation of employees, 5.4 billion for goods and services, 3.5 billion for transfers and subsidies to public and constitutional entities, 2.6 billion for magistrates' salaries, and 652 million for payments of capital assets. The fiscal environment demands of us to do more with less and to be prudent in our spending. The department will prioritize increasing access in terms of its priorities to justice, the continued implementation of the TRC report as adopted by Parliament, the turnaround of the master's offices, improved state litigation, the fight against gender-based violence and femicide, fighting fraud and corruption, acceleration of transformation of legal sector, operationalization of the traditional courts, and review of all apartheid laws. Honorable members, to improve the quality and availability of the services at the Master's Office, we will partner with private sector and other government agencies such as SARS and Home Affairs to implement a digital solution that will enable operational efficiency and effectiveness. The Office of the State Attorney has been experiencing significant operational challenges due to lack of capacity and systems. The implementation of a turnaround strategy is underway at the State Attorney, which includes systems overhaul, capacitation of offices, such as special focus of teams that will be focused on SCA and Constitutional Court. On the TRC matters, the preamble of our Constitution enjoins us, all of us, to work together to heal the division of the past. The TRC made recommendation in June 2003. Parliament approved that report and granting of reparations to TRC-verified individuals in respect of final reparation in the form of once-off grants of 30,000, medical benefits and other forms of social assistance, symbols and monuments, rehabilitation of communities for purposes of contributing to healing the wounds of the past and restoration of human dignity. The total amount paid to individuals as interim reparation is almost 53 million. The total amount paid for final once-off individual grants is just below 500 million. The basic education total number of learners funded is 11,934 learners, and payments to beneficiaries in this regard has been about 137 million. The total number of students funded is 1,922. This is post-matric qualification. And the payments made to the beneficiaries in respect of reparations in this area is 132 million. Gallows exhumation project of a total of 180 remains recovered, including missing persons, gallows, and other cases. 76 have been handed over to families, and we will conclude the 2 remaining this year, and this will bring this project to an end as part of fulfilling our obligation. On the TRC-related criminal cases and inquests, there are a total of 158 separate investigations, of which 7 matters on the criminal court roll, 7 reopened inquests, 10 formal inquests, 6 finalized inquests, and 4 pending inquests, and 2 convictions. So it's not true when people in the public are saying we are not doing anything to ensure that those who have committed crimes during apartheid actually face the might of the law. Honorable members, President Ramaphosa has established a judiciary inquiry. In this, it's to look at allegations regarding efforts or attempts that were made to stop the investigation or prosecution of the TRC cases, to be chaired by a retired Constitutional Court Judge, Sisi Khampempe, and we have committed ourselves to supporting this work as the department. Ladies and gentlemen, gender-based violence and femicide continues to devastate individuals and communities. We have a duty to do all that we can to protect the victims of gender-based violence, especially women and children. More importantly, prevention will be better than having to deal with the aftermath. In this connection, the department has adopted a victim-biased and victim-centric approach, which puts the victim first to avoid case bungling, which gets perpetrators off the hook, and secondary victimization. Over the 2024-25 period, NPA recorded 3,697 convictions in relation to sexual offenses, which will amount to about 79% conviction with direct imprisonment. And this, honorable members, while 44,147 victims were supported at our Tutuzela care centers, these are 66 across the country. So work is currently underway, and we can say 79% would want to see more in terms of that performance. In collaboration with SAPS, the DNA project has processed 60,518 DNA samples to track and deal with repeat sexual offenses and serial rapists. Going forward, we will increase the national footprint of sexual offenses court, particularly in rural communities, with additional 16 sexual offenses court to be established in line with the recent amendments to the law and 2 additional TCCs. The Sexual Offences Court shall assist to deal with the alarming figures of sexual violence in the country and offer support services that are tailor-made for the survivors of sexual crime. Additionally, we will ensure that all convicted sex offenders are registered in the NRSO and initiate a process to review the legislation that is currently an inhibitor to providing the register publicly, but more so we will improve in terms of the turnaround time in responding and issuing court orders, protection orders, in terms of ensuring that within 24 hours they are issued by clerks of court. Honorable members, in fighting crime and fighting fraud and corruption, the department will increase efforts towards disrupting and reducing the efforts of organized crime through a multi-stakeholder approach, collaborating closely with key partners including SAPS, DPCI, SARS. The Asset Forfeiture Unit, honorable members, of the NPA successfully recovered over 3.9 billion in ill-gotten gains through the implementation of a corporate alternative dispute resolution mechanism. And further, in the financial year 24-25, the SIU recovered a cash value of more than 833 million, asset to the value of 1.3 billion, set aside irregular contracts worth 5.6 billion, and prevented potential loss to the state to the tune of 2.7 billion. The establishment of the special tribunal has also allowed for expedient resolution and substantial recovery for the state, showcasing the unit's effectiveness. Further work that will be done in this financial year is the Anti-Corruption Enhancement Unit in the SIU that will be dedicated to do lifestyle audit, but also amongst its other responsibilities is to look at the issues of whistleblowers and whistleblower protection. On the front, in terms of our work in global space and what we had to deal with, NPA will continue to lead efforts to addressing the weaknesses identified by FATF, working with all partners. SIU as well, on the other hand, will continue to support the Department of Public Service and Administration in coordinating the G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group. In this regard, SIU head Advocate Mutibi was nominated to chair the G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group for this year. Honorable members, this work remains critical for us and will continue to do so, and ensuring that our footprint globally doesn't lag. On transformation, it is clear from the statistics that the legal profession is not transformed. And we have to ensure that this situation turns. That's why, honorable members, our fight against the court judgment that has been brought by Norton Rose have to go on, and we have to fight. We've got to ensure that we are changing the environment in which the current black practitioners are finding themselves, where they are not finding work in complex and specialized areas of law, such as commercial law, maritime law, private international law, competition law, and others. Instead, most black female and female legal practitioners often find themselves doing work in the fields of labor and personal injuries and family law. This situation has to turn, and our part we will do is to be able to ensure that we utilize state attorneys' offices to turn around the situation and improve on the briefing patterns. On building a capable state and skills development, the Bridget Mabandla Justice College is currently embarking on strategic repositioning journey, aiming at transforming into a capable, high-performing organization that is professional, efficient, and responsive to the need of the sector. Among other things, BMJC has already established specialized schools and training as follows: the Schools of Prosecution, the Forensic and Cybercrime Academy, Sheriff's Introductory Course Program. The Directorate will also establish the following schools in August 2025: Alternative Dispute Resolution, Legal Interpreting and Language Studies, Constitutionalism, Human Rights and GBV, Masters and Family Law Training, Paralegal Studies and Trial Advocacy, Forensic Investigation Techniques, amongst others. And this is the work that we must encourage to continue to do as it builds capacity of the state. The Department on Review of Legislation remains committed and will continue to prioritize the review of justice-related colonial and apartheid-era legislation to align with the Constitution of the Republic. The new legislation, all legislation that will be reviewed, will look in terms of ensuring that we improve and promote access to justice. This will go in the format of looking at all those that needs to be abolished in terms of an omnibus bill that will abolish those legislation, and where we need to do minor amendments as well will bring, and those that needs long-term or more comprehensive review will have to do. Honorable members, let me conclude with the words of Nelson Mandela from the speech he delivered at the inauguration 30 years ago. He said, "We have fought hard for the basic principle enshrined in the Constitution. The rights and freedoms it proclaims are not simply words taken from hallowed text in other parts of the world. They represent our endeavors and our dreams of a free and just society, quote unquote." Honorable members, I have the pleasure as a Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development to table budget vote number 25 for your approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I will now